Hello and welcome to Twin Talk. This is Angie and I'm here with my sister Joy. Today is actually February 3rd, 2022, and here in Arkansas we've had quite the winter storm. Luckily, well, I shouldn't say luckily, but we've not had to go to work or school for the last 2 days.
Woohoo!
Did you feel like you had a vacation,
Yes,
Joy?
snow day. Even though we're still teaching online, basically we're just allowed to leave our lesson plans and then, be available throughout the day if the students have questions. So it is a nice break.
Yeah, so
and not standing on my feet all day and teaching is a nice break.
Totally understand. And I got 2 days off of work, so that was exciting. I told Joy, I said, hey, let's use this opportunity to get some podcasts done. So here we are. It is a little bit late, but we're at our mother's house upstairs in one of the bedrooms we like to use for our podcast. And there's just snow and ice outside everywhere. So it's nice and cozy up here. So let's get to business here. And today we're going to discuss the book and the movie, Elizabeth is Missing. If you haven't heard of Elizabeth is Missing, it is a novel by Emma Healy. And I'm just going to read one of the summaries that I found on Goodreads. In this darkly riveting debut novel, a sophisticated psychological mystery that is also a heartbreakingly honest meditation on memory, identity, and aging. An elderly woman descending into dementia embarks on a desperate quest to find the best friend she believes has disappeared, and her search for the truth will go back decades and have shattering consequences. I was just going to tell you how I discovered the book.
Okay.
All right. Probably, I'm going to guess 3 or 4 months ago, I was just flipping through the channels. I came across a movie, I think it was a made-for-TV movie, and it was on PBS on Masterpiece Theater. And have you ever watched anything on Masterpiece Theater?
Yeah, but we don't get that on our TV, so I haven't watched anything on it in a long, long time.
Okay, well, personally, my opinion, anything on Masterpiece Theater is always good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, there's just some really good shows on there. I highly recommend it. And so it just so happened, it was just kind of a coincidence. I just happened to catch this movie right when it started.
Oh, okay.
And it started out, there's an old lady, she's putting some beads on, and she goes outside. You can tell she's really, really old. And I don't know why, but the movie just captured my attention right from the beginning. And I ended up watching the whole thing. And the movie, I believe, is 90 minutes. So anyway, I watched the movie, and of course, I love the movie, and of course, anytime you see a movie, you always wonder, oh, is there a book? Well, come to find out, the movie was adapted from this best-selling author by Emma Healy, and what's amazing is this was Emma Healy's debut novel.
Wow.
The movie stars an actress named Glenda Jackson. I didn't know her and hadn't heard of her before, but she plays Maud, who is the elderly woman living with dementia. During the movie, she's struggling to piece together this double mystery. So we're going to just talk about, I know we mostly discuss books, but we are going to talk about the movie for a few minutes because the movie blew me away. In order to discuss the book, I did not recommend Joy read the book, and we're going to talk about that later. But I said, okay, since you haven't read the book, at least watch the movie. So I asked her, please watch this movie. So she watched the movie last night with her husband, Jeff. Now, how were you able to watch the movie? Did you have to purchase it?
So we went on there, and I think it was like $3.99 to rent it and $4.99 to buy it.
Oh.
Somewhere in there. So I told my husband, because it's on his account, I said, I'll pay you back. He said, just buy the stupid thing. It's only $1 difference. So we bought it. So if you want to, now you can watch it anytime you want.
You watched it, you bought it through.
We bought it through Prime Video, I think.
Yeah.
I think through our Amazon Prime Video. I think I'm pretty sure we bought it for like $5, and it was totally worth it.
Okay, so before you tell me what you thought about okay, you just said it was worth it, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
Before we talk about your reaction to the movie, I wanted to tell our listeners, after Joy finished watching the movie, she sent me a text, and I wrote verbatim what your text said. You sent me a text that said, Jeff and I just finished the movie. I have to be honest with you, I will never forgive you for this one.
Yeah, you're in trouble, buddy.
So I was like, I literally was floored because I loved the movie. And I was like, she hated the movie. Oh my gosh, my twin sister sister who usually has the same taste that I
Right.
hated the movie. Well, then you sent me all the emojis that had the sad cry faces.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
crying faces. And I said, oh, you didn't like the movie because it was sad.
No, I loved the movie. I will never forgive you because I fought back tears through the whole thing. I was choking back tears through the whole movie. It was so one of the most difficult movies I've watched in a long time. Very hard to watch.
So-
because it was so true to life.
Yeah, so you... And then
And
you,
dementia is such, to me, I've said this to my husband a million times, I'd rather die of cancer or a car wreck than have to suffer dementia and put my family, Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Than to put my family through that. It's one of the worst diseases, in my opinion, that a person can have.
Okay, so that explains your next text you sent to me. You said sad is not the right word. Try heartbreaking.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
Okay.
Because my father-in-law has dementia, and honestly, he can only remember immediate family members, and sometimes not even them. He doesn't really remember his grandkids, and it's heartbreaking, to talk to him and him not remember who you are.
Well, I got to be honest with you. When I was watching the movie, I kept thinking, anyone that is going through this with a family member, this would be a hard movie
Yes,
to
I think
watch.
that's another reason it was so hard for us to watch, because Jeff's dad is going through this. And our mom, if you're listening, Mom, you're great. She's 80. What is she, 81?
She's 80.
80. And her mind is still sharp as a tack. But every once in a while, she gets a little senile.
Yeah, every once in a while she'll forget something.
But
which is,
honestly, she's probably
pretty
sharper
common.
than I am. I forget. I mean, she forgets stuff, but I do too all the time. So I can't really say anything. But
So the setting was in post-war England. Okay, it was in post-war 1940s England. Now, I wrote England just from memory. Would you say that's where
well,
they were
hold
at?
on. Wasn't the setting modern day, but the flashbacks were post
Yes, yeah.
war England?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So it's a part of the story is set back in 1940s. But do you think they were in England?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Their accents and a lot of the places they visited and the slang. I just
Well, when the
assumed-
doctor asked her when she had fallen, they had called in a doctor when when Maud had fallen. He said, "Do you know where you are?" And she said, "Great Britain."
in what you were just talking about, the narrative, they do toggle back and forth between 1940s and modern day.
And I guess my question to you, it was easy to follow on the movie because of the costumes, and you could immediately tell when they were going back to the 1940s. But was it easy to follow in the book?
That's a good question, because in the book, I kept thinking if I hadn't seen the movie first, I think this would have been harder to follow.
You'd been more confused.
Yes, but because I had seen the movie, it was not hard to follow in the book. We can't really have a discussion about this book without talking about the main characters. The main character is Maud, which we've already mentioned. She's an 82-year-old woman with dementia who believes her friend Elizabeth is missing. And she's surrounded by her dutiful daughter Helen, her granddaughter Katie, her caregiver Carla. Those are pretty much the main characters, and her son comes in every once in a while. But she has frequent flashbacks of her years growing up when her older sister Suki disappeared without the family ever knowing what truly happened. So what's really cool about this book is, not only is she thinks her friend is missing, Elizabeth, but her sister went missing
I think that's another
years and
reason
years
it's so
earlier.
heartbreaking, is because not only are you dealing with this lady with dementia and what her family's going through, but this lady with dementia, Maud, is also going through never knowing what happened to her sister. Her sister just disappeared, and that is tough.
Yeah, and I kept thinking, what would that be like to never have that closure or just knowing what happened to her? That would be a nightmare in itself. Okay, the character of Maud.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
Me too.
She's awesome.
So we know she's got dementia. So her family labels everything for her because to me that was one of the most striking things about the movie. And I can't remember exactly what were some of the things that they...
It would be like a sign by the door, "Don't forget to lock the door. Don't forget to turn off the oven." It would be labeled like light switch. When she moved in with her daughter, all the rooms were labeled bathroom, pantry, bedroom.
So everyday items and everyday just things that you and I would take for granted, like we know what the phone is, or they would label it for
Yes.
her, and it was all these little sticky notes that was telling her what things are, where things were, reminders of things she needed to do every day. That kind of hit home. And she actually, she was pretty annoying, of course, to her family. Even though you love someone, it's still difficult to have patience with
Right.
someone who asks you the same question, every
Over
10
and
minutes.
over.
Right.
And what got me about the movie, I just can't say enough about the movie. It is such a good movie. But what got me is how real it was. Because the daughter, she wants to take care of her mom, and she's doing everything she can to take care of her. But there's only so much verbal abuse you can take, whether the lady has Alzheimer's or not.
Oh, that's true.
And you remember when she plows into the granddaughter and she calls her lazy and good for nothing, and the daughter gets mad and yells at her mother, like, "Don't you ever talk to my daughter." So even though you know this person, it's the disease talking and not them, you're only human, and you can only take it so long. And she just lashed back at her. And then she's got to now deal with the guilt of lashing back at her mother. So it's just a horrible disease.
It's almost like taking care of a child,
Yes.
in a way. Throughout the whole movie, she keeps saying, Elizabeth's missing, and no one believes her, no one will listen to her.
Right.
Of course, we find out at the end of the book, we find out why, which I'm not going to give
Yeah,
any
we can't do a
spoilers.
spoiler alert here, but yeah, they won't listen to her because, well, she has dementia. She doesn't know what she's talking about,
And now I felt like the best part of the movie, and I think I've only had a brief conversation with you before we started this podcast, where we talked about the performance of Glenda Jackson. She is the actress who played Maude, and she was 85 years old when
That
she
is
played
unbelievable.
her. So tell me, what was your impression of her performance?
Amazing. Oscar worthy. I don't know. I haven't done any research. Jeff did a little research. I think you have, but man, that's a performance of a lifetime. It was incredible.
One of the critics' reviews that I read, that they said the exact thing you just said: performance of a lifetime.
Okay.
And that's how I felt when I came away after that movie. I was thinking, I don't know this actress. I've never seen her in anything, but holy cow.
I kept wondering if maybe she was younger and they had made her look older. But now that you're telling me she's 85, can you imagine being 85 and learning all those lines and all the emotions that she displayed and all the dialogue she had to say? That makes it even more amazing that she was that old when she played
literally
this role.
became this character.
Yes.
I mean, she
It
had...
was so realistic.
She was funny. She was angry. She was hurt. She was she
ran the gamut of emotions.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she portrayed them all brilliantly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I cannot say enough
Yeah.
about this woman's performance. So if you have not seen the movie Elizabeth is Missing, you really need to
They need
see
to watch it, but also grab a box of Kleenexes.
Yes, I mean
if
it's
you
worth
have-
it.
Yeah.
To me, it's worth it just to watch this performance. Of
Yeah,
Glenda
just
Jackson.
if nothing else, even if the storyline doesn't interest you, just seeing this lady's performance is worth it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And the daughter did great as well.
Oh, yeah, she was good.
She did great.
Her daughter, and unfortunately I didn't write the name down of that actress, but she was good too.
Yeah.
But I watched a few interviews with some of the other actors on the movie, and they all just kept saying, we were all just totally in awe of her, and she inspired us to do better. And she said all of them said every time they had a scene with her, that she would elevate the scene to just a level.
And I've read that about that great actors. Not only are they great, but they inspire others around them to do better and be better actors and actresses, and that just makes the whole thing better.
Yeah. And I don't mean to sound crass, but there's a good chance this was her last, Glenda's last role, and what a way to end your career. She's 80 by now. This movie was released, I think, in 2021, if I can remember correctly. So she's probably around 86 now or so. Before we go into the book, is there anything else you would like to say about the movie?
I just was blown away. Like I said, I was blown away by Glenda Jackson's performance. It was a really good movie. And it's just, I love mysteries. And the fact that there's two mysteries in it, that's what made it unique to me. Usually you're just trying to solve one big mystery. But there's actually two. There's a modern day mystery where she's trying to find her missing friend Elizabeth. And then there's the old mystery that was, I guess, post-war... post-World War II, probably late 40s,
They said 40s.
England. Yeah. So, and they're trying to solve this mystery of what happened to her sister. And that's what I loved about it. It's not just her performance, but it's that you're trying with them to solve these two mysteries as you watch the movie. So I won't say how it ends, but we get a resolution on both mysteries.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it.
Okay, to me, one of the really cool things that they did in the movie, the way that the reason the movie flowed so well with the two time periods and the two
because they had two
mysteries.
timelines going.
So like this is just an example. Maud would be walking down the street and she'd be going home and she would see a pebble or a rock and she'd pick it up. Well, next thing you know, she's a young girl holding that same rock.
It would connect her to a memory in the past.
It would connect her to a memory in the past, and then that would bring up a scene from the past. And and all these flashbacks would just...
They were, woven together.
They were woven together, and that's how they would go back and forth between the two.
Right. Okay, well, let's get into the book. How come you don't want me to read it?
Okay, all right. So
because I really want to read the book now that I've seen the movie, but Angie's been telling me no. She does not recommend that I read the book, so now I need to know why. What's going on with the book?
So let's talk about the book. All right. So in my mind, and anyone who loves to read books, when you watch a movie, usually your thought is, oh, the movie was great. The book's got to be better, right?
Yeah, because we all know as book nerds that the book's always better than the movie. The book's always better. Almost 99% of the time.
Yeah. And then I got on, of course, one of the first things I do as a book nerd is I look at reviews. And all I saw was nothing but these gushing reviews about the book. So I went into this with no bias whatsoever. I went into it with high expectations.
Because of the movie.
Well,
that was my question. Maybe if you had not seen the movie first, would you maybe have liked the book better?
No.
Okay.
This is just me.
Okay.
This is just my personal opinion. Sadly, I did not have the same experience as many of the others did. According to the many book reviews I read, people really, really loved this book.
Okay.
However, as with any book, I did find some people who didn't like the book.
Right.
And like, I think it was, what's the name of that? Goodreads, where they do a lot of the reviews and stuff.
All right, let's hear it. Do you have some bad reviews?
So they said, did I read the same book as other reviewers? This book was horrible, annoying, repetitive, and way too drawn out. I love a good mystery and found myself not even caring what happened to Elizabeth. I'm sorry, that was funny to me. I love a good mystery and found myself not even caring what happens to Elizabeth or Suki or any character in this book.
Oh, no.
Because this book was just boring. I read the whole thing waiting for the aha moment that never came. Though this book was told from the point of view of an elderly woman with dementia, I thought it would be unique, but I just found it frustrating. She basically said word for word exactly how I felt.
So too long, too drawn out, too repetitive.
The best part of the book is the fact that an old woman with dementia is trying to solve a murder. Because that's actually pretty funny if you think about it.
Yeah,
that's
it's very unique.
That's the least likely person who's going to solve that mystery.
Exactly.
Right? A person trying to solve a murder who can't even remember what they did yesterday, let alone what they had for lunch, right?
Right.
So that, from the beginning, that kind of insight was fascinating, all right? And it was interesting. But after 6 hours of hearing Maud say Elizabeth is missing, I wanted to scream.
Right.
Because she says it like 1,000 times. So even in the movie, which I dearly love, I got tired of hearing her say, Elizabeth is missing.
Well, and let me say this, and this is interesting. I never got tired of it, and I think, do you think it's because you had read the book and already heard it a million times?
Possibly.
Because she said it a lot, but I thought, well, that's how she would act. She's trying to convince people Elizabeth is missing. Okay. So I'm thinking if you had not read the book, maybe it wouldn't have irritated you in the movie.
It didn't really irritate me in the movie as much as it did in the book.
Oh, wait, I forgot. Yeah. You watched the movie first. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bottom line is, I know the author was trying to drive home what it's like living with someone with dementia. Okay, I understand that. But the readers in the real world can only take so much.
Right.
All right. So what I...
And Angie's got her hands and she's kind of in this clenched mode, like she's like about to explode.
I'm being very animated right now. I wish you guys could see me.
She's stressed. Yeah.
I'm actually like, it's something I've never animated, but right now I'm very animated.
Right now she's animated. I can tell she's like, it's got to end.
So in the end, I felt like the book's strength became its weakness.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, it's a woman with dementia solving a mystery, but I've got to listen to her solve the mystery.
Well, and then, but after the 6th hour, and you have 5 hours to go, you're like, I can't handle this anymore.
I have a very important question for you. If you had to choose which book was more excruciating to read,
oh no,
would it be Walden or Elizabeth is Missing?
Oh, Walden.
Walden beats out Elizabeth is Missing.
No book will ever be more excruciating than Walden. Ever.
Okay, I just had to ask that.
No. Walden.
So Walden's the worst. It's like the seventh circle of hell.
Exactly. And that's funny, 'cause I was just thinking, if you had to go to hell and listen to, okay.
So it's just too long, too repetitive. Gotcha. You have convinced me not to read Elizabeth the Missing, because just from this conversation, I can tell it would drive me insane.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say this. If we have a listener out there who has already read this book, or you're going to read it, call us on our speak pipe. We always put the link there. We would love to hear, hey, you can disagree with us. You can. I haven't read the book, so I can't say anything. But I would love to hear other people's opinion. If you want to call in and leave a message, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so I thought, instead of ending on a negative note, I will tell you about the book's strengths. Obviously, the author's portrayal of Maud's dementia, you know, that it was very authentic. It was actually very creative. She was very creative in how she dealt with it. It was funny and heartbreaking at the same time, which is how the movie was. I thought she was very clever in how she interweaved the two mysteries and the past and the present. And it was an honest portrayal of family relationships in crisis. So those were the strengths of it.
I think it's also good that it brings awareness. I mean, you may have people who aren't even familiar with what it's like to live with someone with dementia or Alzheimer's. And if people read it, it'll at least bring awareness. And this is such a coincidence, or maybe it's not a coincidence, but as I was scrolling through Facebook the other night, a lady I knew, I used to go to church with her, she had written, hey, my dad's getting dementia, and he's always talking to his parents who are not here. You know, they both passed away. And she said, I don't know what to do. Do I say, no, Dad, they're gone? Or do I go ahead and talk to him? And you know what I may do if it's okay with you? The response was phenomenal. Somebody wrote a response back to her. And I would love to read it. You know what? Can I hit pause and read it real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back and find that and read the response. It's definitely worth reading on how to talk to people with dementia.
Okay. And that'll be, we'll go ahead and close, and then we just let that be how we end today's podcast.
Okay.
Do you have any other thoughts before we close about the book?
No, just it's like a love-hate. Thank you for recommending it to me. But like I said, it was one of the hardest movies I've watched in a while, because it just tugs at your heartstrings. Because like you said, it's bittersweet, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, all at the same time.
And one thing that I actually liked about the movie was it was just kind of refreshing to watch something that felt like you're watching real life. It wasn't a shoot 'em up movie. It wasn't science fiction. It wasn't, one of these vulgar Hollywood movies. It was just refreshing that I just felt like I was watching a normal family living their life, kind of going through this ordeal, and to me that was it was something different.
Yeah, and I just have to say, I just loved how the mysteries. I love how the second mystery is solved. I loved how they piece it together. Yeah, it was very creative.
Yeah. We didn't really talk a whole lot.
I know, that's why I'm saying I don't want the readers to think, "Gosh, this all sounds so boring and depressing," because there are two mysteries, and the way the one from the 40s is solved is really cool. Did you not think so?
Yeah.
I just thought it was so cool how they solved the mystery of her sister.
The author was very, very clever in how she...
Yes. How the two stories connected and how they solved them both. And
we both recommend that you watch the movie Elizabeth is Missing. And as far as the book, I'm so sorry, but I'm just going to give it one... Elizabeth. I can't think of another. There's no other good word for that. I'm only going to give it one Elizabeth. But, for you out there who may be retired and you have a lot of time on your hands and you're just curious to see if you agree or not, go ahead and give it a listen. That's all we have for this time. And listen to this really good response about the lady's question with her. Is it her dad?
It was about her dad.
Yeah, that has Alzheimer's. So.
Thank you again, and we'll see you next time on
Twin Talk.
So this is the post that I ran across on Facebook, and someone had asked the question, how do I answer my dad with dementia when he talks about his mom and dad being alive? Do I go along with it or tell him they have passed away? And this was the answer, and I'm not sure who answered, but I just thought this was an awesome answer. Enter into his reality and enjoy it. He doesn't need to be oriented. Thank God the days are gone when people with advanced dementia were tortured by huge calendars and reminder signs, and loved ones were urged to orient them to some boring current reality. If Dad spends most of his time in 1959, sit with him. Ask questions he didn't have time for before. Ask about people long dead, but alive to him. Learn, celebrate your heritage. His parents are alive to him.
Learn more about your grandparents. If he tells the same story over and over, appreciate it if it's music and you keep coming back to the beautiful refrain. This isn't playing along to pacify the old guy. This is an opportunity to communicate and treasure memories real but out of time. So I love that response, and I hope it will help family members or friends out there who are dealing with a loved one who has dementia.